Lights, camera, action. Welcome to the Scrapbook Podcast, Director's Cut. And welcome back to the Scrapbook Podcast. This is your host, Jody Pratt, with my fellow host,
Sunflower.
Hey, so I have a story for you this is Director's Cut, by the way. It's called The Weary, right? And it's going to be like a Wes Anderson, so we're really big in Wes Anderson right now, because I've been a fan for a while. I saw Grand Budapest Hotel, when it came out in like 2014. I own, what is it called? The Moon Knight Kingdom. I own that shit. I love that shit. The dogs claymation joint. Mm-hmm. Wes Anderson's a fucking genius. He rivals, honestly, in my opinion, Quentin Tarantino when it comes to dialogue.
I can see that.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't fuck with Quentin Tarantino when it comes to certain things, but Wes Anderson's dialogue, his shots, quick, and his tragedies he's very, very good at executing that. It's kind of interesting. Well, this film, or whatever you call it, that I want to make is sort of like in that realm. Mm-hmm. Wes Anderson, if you listen to this, I know it's a lot of bullshit at first. Just skip to like right about now, so like a minute and 2 minutes in, and this is the film for you that I want you to make, and then I'll get like 30%. It's okay. So it's from the perspective of a couple people, but in the half of the first act is from this boy named Todd. He's his dad is a former Bollywood actor, so he's half black, half Indian, right? And Todd aspires to be a journalist and a writer. He's about 16, 15. He's an unpublished author of 9 books, and it's all alternative history based. You know what I mean? He's trying to get these books published, but nobody's willing to take that heat because it's all hot material. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all alternative. If Martin Luther King became president,
oof.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If Malcolm X killed JFK, shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he secretly writes for, that's his big secret that he held from his parents and shit like that. He secretly writes for the town's newspaper under the pseudonym Marx, M-A-R-X, Marx Cummingsburg, and he's a scathing art critic, right? That's how he gets kind of his angst out. He always meets a deadline, and he's always one of the most read people in the magazine. I mean, in the newspaper. I apologize. So he's coming from somewhere. He's walking down the street, and he has like this big ass Coke Slurpee in his hand. You know what I mean? 48 ounce, big as fuck. And he finds a woman, face up in the gutter. You know what I mean? This just gorgeous black woman, has to be, I want to say like 24, 25, just big bouncy curly hair. And she's sitting there covered in soot from head to toe in this fucking gutter. And he helps her up. And he's like, are you okay? And she's just like, you know what? It's been a long time since anybody asked me that, as well as anybody that looks like me asked me that. Mm-hmm. And she goes on, like, they start walking with one another, each taking a sip out of this Slurpee. From inhaling whatever she's covered in. Yeah. As well as him, because that's his only vice in this world are Coke Slurpees. Right? So she begins to tell her story, and it started out maybe 2 months ago. Actually, I want to say a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little bit longer. So let's say about a year ago, year and a half ago, she was found painting the skyline of the city, right? Name a city. Where
San Francisco.
San Francisco and Massachusetts, right?
Okay.
So she's drawn this shit upside down, you know what I mean? With 12 different paintbrushes all at one time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's immaculate. And somebody's walking past and they're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, this is amazing. How much you want for this? And she's like, oh, it's not for sale. You know what I mean? It's just, for fun. He's like, I'll buy it at like $100. And then somebody else passes up. He's like, $150. You know, shit like that.
Yeah.
And she made like $400 on this painting, right? And in the commotion of this crowd, I want to say about 20 people, there's an Asian in there, an art agent, a curator, or whatever the fuck, and was like, I want to, put this thing up. I want your shit all around. And I want it to be held in a museum. That's a curation. There's a collection of fucking art. Right? And she was like, okay. And her name is Rashika Joan Porter.
Jordan Porter?
No, Joan. Oh. And she's like, I don't have very much work. Just give me about a year or so. So that's her stressing all this shit. Like a bunch of Wes Anderson cuts twos and this and that. Like over time, a period of time. And she made it.
Yeah.
Over a year, she created over maybe 150 pieces of art. The art, the curator loved it. He's like, fuck yeah, get an agent and we can get this popping. She got an agent. And mind you, everybody around her is white. Todd is literally the first person. She grew up in this town.
Yeah.
Adopted by a white family, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And she's like the first time she's ever seen, somebody that looks like her and Todd. So then Rashika goes on to tell her story, and that's when shit starts to get weird, because closer to the opening of my exhibit, the mayor started to come around and stuff like that and asked me to go with him on his campaign and shit like that, and that would boost up my sales and stuff like that, and people coming in and buy my pieces. So I was like, okay, sure, Rashika says. And Rashika's like, so I did it, no problem. They didn't want to call me Rashika or go by my name that I signed, my signature name, RJ. He's like, RJ's too masculine, Rashika's too... What he says, Rashika says, what he says is quote unquote urban. So they call me Joan. And as she gets to this point in the story, then Todd sticks out his hand and like, and they call me Marks. And they shake hands and shit like that. Two names that are not their own.
Right.
Not that what they wanted to be called, but they have to be called. And so Rashika goes on to tell the story of how slowly she became over a week span, became this token figure for the mayor's reelection, and how this out of the blue, born and raised in San Francisco, Massachusetts, urban artist, they say, can, be curated in our own museum. Like, isn't this fantastic? Like, give her a hand, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And shit like that. And she says a few words. And it's supposed to show his, like, versatility and shit like that, and how much he can talk to other people and get along with them. Shit like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Political shit. So, the doors open that night for the art museum. For the curation of her art, and it's all beautiful ass pieces, and everybody's there, like from all over America and shit like that. And her selling herself so much and being that token person has got her somewhere. So she's like, maybe I did the right thing. Maybe I did it correctly, and this is how I'm supposed to go. Then she like goes into the bathroom and she sees like in the handicap stalls, like a big ass stall, and she sees her agent's feet in there, and she's like, "Hello, Brendan?" And Ben opens it up, and it's him and like 3 other women doing a blow in the back, right? And everybody's like, "Hey, Joan," and then she kind of like rolls her eyes, and she's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he was just like, just have a little bit of celebration. You want to, have a little too. She's like, "I've never done that." She's like, and everybody's like, "What? You've never done it? You?" And she's like, "Yeah, I've never." Like, what is that? What are you talking about? Like, no, I've never done any drug. And everybody starts to like laugh a little bit. That's sort of uncomfortable. Like, this nigga playing, bro. Of course you've done drugs before. And she's like, no. She's like, well, here's your first time. Your first time kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she takes it below the little fat ass line, right? And like right then and there, words become extremely clear to her. Reading right in between the lines.
Yeah.
Everything. She was like, "Hey, what do you guys mean by that? You know what I'm saying? You're surprised that I haven't done drugs. Is it because like I'm black or something? Like, am I supposed to be like a crack baby or something?"
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And little shit like that. And she like leaves the room where everybody's like, no, try to get, have a little bit of white guilt. It's like, I mean, I didn't say anything like, but you implied it. You implied it though. Her leaving the bathroom kind of pissed off and shit like that. Like, fuck you guys. And then he's like, oh, Joan, Joan, fuck. He's like, hey, you want to still hit this shit? They're all talking to each other, kind of just phased it out. She's walking through the hallway. And one guy who's been trying to get her attention the whole night, and she's kind of just been like bugging off. And he's like, oh, I just want to talk to you. And then he's talking to her and shit like that. And all he's bringing up is black artists.
Yeah.
Like, do see, Basquiat, when he was doing his thing, like, unbelievable. If he was kind of like the Michael Jordan of art, you should say. And she's like, dude, what in the fuck are you talking about?
Trying to find that common ground.
Yeah, exactly. But you're
far-fetched.
off of your assumptions.
Yeah.
You're assuming that I don't know anybody else. Everybody that I have to know in art, or that got me into art, has to be a black person. You know what I mean? And so she's drawing a bunch of lines and shit like that. And the microaggressions happen. A couple of women asked to touch her hair. She's like, fuck you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So she's getting aggressive. She's seeing everything. All the girls, there's a couple of women. I want it to be like a Rachel Dolezal kind of character.
Yeah.
Like comes up to her. She's like, my sister. And she's like, bitch, you're fucking tripping. Like, you know what I mean? And kind of like shuts her the fuck up. Microaggressions here and there. And like she's passing through. She's trying to exit the fucking building to get a breath of fresh air. And people are like coming up to her. Like the mayor comes up to her. I know I said the mayor comes up to her before, but
right.
keep it with me.
Yeah.
The mayor comes up to her and just like, hey, how do they do that? How do they do that dance? The dance that they're doing. You know what I mean? All I know how to do is the Cabbage Patch and the Running Man. You know what I'm saying? What is that dance? You guys do? The jerk or something. Show me. Show everybody it. And she's like, all of a sudden the room is just all eyes on her now.
Yeah.
And she's the only black person here. And she sees what has been built. This is her empire. But this is it. I am the person. So what are you going to do in this point in time? Are you going to start dancing? Or are you going to turn this empire into a pyre?
Yeah.
So she shows the ladder. She starts to wig the fuck out. She's like, Mayor, fuck you. You know, the representative, the fuck you too, fuck you. Like, you know what I mean? Sees her tooted up ass fucking agent. She's like, especially you, fuck you. You knew what was happening this whole time.
Yeah.
He was like, and you didn't? She was like, couldn't even, because she didn't know.
Right.
But she kind of did, but she didn't. She played it because it was her way in. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So is it all her fault that she played into the shit and now she wants to be mad? Or is she going to figure it all out when all the bodies are on the floor, kind of thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she was like, I'm taking all this shit then. Starts to grab pieces off the wall. They're trying to stop her and shit like that. She like screams in their face like a wild woman.
Yeah.
Starts to pile these motherfuckers up, throwing them shits on the floor, breaking them in half. You can't have any of this shit. You know what I mean? You can't have any of this shit until you fucking pronounce my name right. My name's Rashika, motherfucker. Not Joan. You know what I'm saying? Not any of that shit.
Yeah.
It's Rashika. Say it fucking right. Spell it right too, bitch. And she's like throwing this shit on there, and she's like, everybody's like freaking out because now the black woman is an animal to them. Now the black woman, because she has an opinion that is different from ours, now it's a problem.
Yeah.
She's going crazy. Call the police. And she just stacks all of her shit in sight. Stacks that shit and throws, you know what I mean, sets it on fire. Destroys it. Mm-hmm. Right? It should feel, everybody's evacuated by now. It's filled with black smoke and shit like that. The fire department come in and they find her on the floor. They take her, rush her out of that bitch. You know, spray it down.
Yeah.
Or I should say, like, they rush in to extinguish it, and she's standing in front of the fire. And then, like, they grab her up, and or they rush in while she's walking out. How about that? Does that sound a little bit better?
I mean, for her to stand there and watch her own work burn, I think that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
And so maybe she freaks out while they're trying to take her away.
Yeah.
Like because they're trying to save her.
Yeah, because your lungs can't fill with smoke and you
could die. You're not going to die along with these paintings, or maybe she wanted to, you know, but at this point in time, it's just more so like, we're trying to get this quote unquote mad woman out of here.
Yeah.
That's just standing in front of this burning and progressing fire.
Yeah, and they're putting it out and shit like that.
Yeah.
All of her work is gone. And she gets arrested, right? And then she walks into the, you know, intake and shit like that. They take her picture, you know, turn to the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're sitting in the holding cell and she sees all her people. Everybody's black in there. And she's like, I've never seen any of you motherfuckers before. Like, what the fuck? And I wanted it to be like just organic music playing. Mm-hmm. Like somebody's like beating on some shit and somebody else singing and shit like that. It's like church kind of thing. You know what I mean? I want that kind of feeling. And she gets released from prison. From jail. And all charges have been dropped. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And her curator picks her up, her agent, gets her and she's like, he's like, you'll never believe what just happened. And she's like, why the fuck are you? You know what I mean? Like, kind of wanting to say thank you, but fuck you as well.
Yeah.
He's like, you didn't burn everything. There's a few pieces that, you know what I mean? And there's nothing that sells more than a black artist that has lost her fucking mind. Overtly says that shit. And she's like, he's like, Joan, you're going to be fucking rich. They bought them all. They bought the rest. And he's driving like over this bridge and shit like that. And she's just like,
I can't believe what I'm fucking hearing right now.
Exactly. Bails out of the car. They make it over the bridge, of course. But just jumps out of the car. He's going like 35 and she rolls. And finds herself, face up in the gutter. And that's where, literally, that's where it picks up from Todd's story. And she's like, you know what I mean? I want to, thank you. Is there any, like, I had to get that off my chest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And soon, like, literally, I'm packing up and leaving. So that's where I'm going. Like, and mistakenly, he kind of just walks her to her house. That's how long they've been talking.
Yeah.
And she's like, I love to, like, read any of your books or whatever the fuck. I mean, not even, she doesn't even know that about him. Like, can I have, like, your address or something? I want to send you. Or, man, how about none of that shit? They just part ways, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, it's nice to meet you. And then by the end of the story, like, she sips the last sip of Slurpee. And she's like, thank you. Like, I live right here. She's like, where are you headed? And Todd's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just left the hospital when I saw you. And, you know what I mean? My mom died.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, Melancholia doesn't give me any sort of inspiration. But you have. And she, like, kind of frowns at that. She's like, okay. And they part ways, from there.
Yeah.
And instead of Mark's Cummingsburg posting a scathing article about this insane artist, R.J. Porter, destroying her art in a fit of black rage, he instead tells the microaggression and unfairness in exploiting black artists for the talents that they have. And the mastermind of all this is the mayor who's running for re-election.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was the day before the election. That's why they had it that night. It was planned all that whole time for over a year. And he loses after that article is posted, right? And we'll cut to Todd walking around his house, fake smoking a pipe, while his dad is, like, blaring this, like, Indian music out loud and shit like that. And lighting candles, and they're getting ready for a funeral. And he's asking Todd, like, don't leave early again. Well, if you must, just, just come back home so I know you. Like, last time you left, it was, out of nowhere. I mean, not out of nowhere, but I didn't know where you were for hours and shit. So just come back here. And he was like, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a ring at the doorbell, and the postman comes. He's just like, package for Mark's Cummingsburg. And Todd's dad's just like, no. He's like, right here. Kind of frowns at his son, just like, hey, my son's real peculiar. Fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
He opens it up, and it's a fucking just this brand ass new typewriter, like, beautiful as fuck. All the little extra parts and shit like that, brand new, and it's a letter on top of that. It says, it reads, sometime life can leave you in the gutter, but it's up to you to call it home. XOXO, Rashika. And he smiles and shit like that, and he's just like, wow.
Yeah.
And then the end. How's that?
I like that a lot. I liked the ending really went well.
kind of melded together.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, for sure. It doesn't seem like it was like off.
Yeah. For sure, if it's written out more, because obviously, as everybody knows, this is like the first draft of it.
Yeah.
Very loosely based on the story that I thought of. But like little details throughout the whole thing is Todd, like when he wakes up every day, he has a cup of black coffee and a bran muffin, and he sits and stares at a photo of Franz Kafka, just thinking, sitting in front of his laptop, just thinking of something new to write. You know what I mean? And he's just staring at it. And then until he gets inspiration.
Yeah.
And the day he goes to the hospital and his mom is like dying from complications of like diabetes or something like that. And he's just zoned out.
Yeah.
And as soon as like they were just like, oh, you gotta pull the plug, man. She's not there anymore. He like completely leaves. He let his dad, handle that shit. He went for a walk, got a big ass Coke Slurpee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And went on that way.
And probably at that point not even looking for any inspiration, but just didn't want to be there.
Exactly. And it's a way of him. It's a way of him getting out his emotions, because it goes both ways with everything. Like she said, sometimes life can leave you in the gutter, but it's up to you to call it home. And that was like her telling, like, thank you for listening to me.
Yeah.
Because now I find myself in a different headspace, but also for you as well. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways, and I thought that really complemented one another.
Yeah, good job, man.
But yeah, hopefully Wes Anderson does this shit so I can see it in real life. I'm willing to write this shit out into a short story, but I would love for it to be, quick, witty writing, and it's stretched out over time, and you know what I mean. Seeing the entire thing, I think that'd be really, really cool.
Yeah. And it seems like something he would do, well, as well.
Yeah, and even if you make it just like, the main character is Latina and everybody else is Chinese. I don't fucking give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean? But I want there to be a large discrepancy in how it's felt. The microaggressions has to work. The dancing, you know what I mean? The overt racism that's in between the lines.
Yes.
That... that one thing where you can tell somebody's being a dickhead, but you can't tell your boss because you're kind of just being like, he's being mean to me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and you can't be like his tone. You have to be like, he said the N-word. He said, you know what I mean? You have to have real thick shit to tell somebody, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But, yeah, it goes both ways. I hope you liked it.
I did. Yeah, it's great. It's very it's almost one room, but it's one road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're just walking on this, and I think it would be pretty cool if they draw back and they're walking on a track.
Yeah.
And like the background's passing them, and it's just like, you know what I mean, the same shit over and over again.
Like on a stage where they move the setting, but they won't move. You're not moving. You know?
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You're pretty much just walking in place.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, so that was Weary. A loose idea, loose concept, but I think it's there.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Meat and potatoes in there. I am your host, Jody Pratt, with my fellow host, Sunflower. This is Director's Cut. That was Weary. We love you. Don't stop being creative. And we are the Scrapbook Podcast on everything. Scrapbookpodcast@gmail.com. None of our stories are fucking connected, so you can start anywhere. Tell people to start anywhere. Doesn't fucking matter. We love you. Don't stop being creative. Peace.
Bye-bye.